Chapter 2101, Fang Yuan makes a transaction. Chapter 2101, Fang Yuan makes a transaction. Wu Yong tried to stay calm as he exchanged some words with Mushroom Man Gu Immortal Ku Xianxia. So Fang Yuan wants my Xianxia true inheritance, but he has not discovered who land. After some probing, the worry in his heart was finally lifted. The truth was, as long as Kong Ri Tian did not expose this secret personally, there was only a slight possibility that Hu Land would be discovered by anyone else other than Wu Clan. Back then, Kong Ri Tian and the rest used Hu Land to escape, no other Gu Immortal saw them. After Kong Ri Tian and the rest escaped, no news of them had emerged. Thus, outsiders like Fang Yuan would think that Kong Ri Tian is in my hands. Thus, he came to me for Xianxia true inheritance. Wu Yong thought, my actions earlier were not good enough. I should have announced immediately that Kong Ri Tian was captured by my Wu clan. Even though that was not true, if Wu clan publicized that, Kong Ri Tian would not come out to refute him anyway. If Kong Ri Tian exposed himself, the Gu immortals that were after Xianxia true inheritance would charge towards him like jackals, they would tear his weak little body to shreds. If Kong Ri Tian hears such an announcement from my Wu clan, he will also understand our motive. Keeping Hu Land a secret will also be ensuring his safety, he will not reject it. Wu Yong had another plan, he could make up for his previous mistake. Hu Land was a secluded domain of heaven and earth, it had immense value, if Wu clan wanted to own it, he would need to do it in secret. I can let you have Xianxia true inheritance. Wu Yong rapidly transmitted and replied Ku Xianxia. For Hu Land, giving up Xianxia true inheritance was a wise decision. Moreover, this Xianxia true inheritance had just been obtained by Wu clan, it had contents but not immortal Gu. The immortal Gu and immortal essence were still in Kong Ri Tian's hands. Ku Xianxia was slightly stunned. Wu Yong agreed so readily, it was out of his expectations. He was a Gu immortal expert of Mushroom Man Paradise. After Lu Wei Yin submitted to Fang Yuan along with the entire paradise, he became Fang Yuan's subordinate. This was the first mission that Fang Yuan gave him. When Ku Xianxia received this mission, he felt great internal pressure. He had heard of Wu Yong's name long ago. Along the way, he was thinking of what to do if Wu Yong rejected or refused to agree with this. To think that he would agree so easily after they met. I finally understand the might and prestige of my lord now. Ku Xianxia sighed internally, filled with deep emotions. Ku Xianxia added, Lord Wu Yong, my lord is willing to pay for the entire Xianxia true inheritance. It was Wu Yong's turn to be stunned. Hearing Ku Xianxia's words, it seemed like Fang Yuan wanted a fair trade. He was not going to extort or snatch it by force. Wu Yong quickly reacted, he listed his condition. Ku Xianxia frowned slightly, because Wu Yong wanted a rank 9 wind path immortal material, it was quite rare in the market. Ku Xianxia could not decide this alone, he quickly communicated with Fang Yuan. After receiving an answer, Ku Xianxia started to smile again as he looked at Wu Yong. Using Treasure Yellow Heaven, this transaction was quickly completed. Fang Yuan obtained the full details of Xianxia true inheritance, while Wu Yong obtained a rank 9 wind path immortal material. Fang Yuan has a large number of grotto heavens from the two heavens, it is not strange that he has rare immortal materials. But he really went ahead to transact with me. Surprisingly getting a rank 9 wind path immortal material, Wu Yong's preparatory work for refining 8-faced prestige wind immortal Gu achieved a significant breakthrough. But Wu Yong could not be happy. Fang Yuan had the battle strength to snatch Xianxia true inheritance, but he did not do that. He only sent a Mushroom Man Gu immortal and expressed his sincerity in making a fair trade. Afterwards, he held his word and paid with a rank 9 wind path immortal material. Fang Yuan is truly amazing. Wu Yong sighed deeply. As the saying goes, an expert swimmer would eventually drown, an expert combatant would die in battle. Relying on one specialty without possessing other skills was a dangerous thing. Once people started to rely on something, they would unknowingly stay within their comfort zone, they would develop a mental pattern. When they encounter problems, they would use their specialty trait to resolve the issues. As time passes, all of their other methods and perspectives would vanish. Eventually, they would face the greatest predicament of their lives. It might be their end. But Fang Yuan did not do that. He had great battle strength and could snatch the true inheritance, but if he did that, he would waste a lot of time and energy. There was even a chance of failing. After all, the information could be erased. But using this transaction, Fang Yuan easily obtained Xianxia true inheritance without a hitch. Wu Yong analyzed, this can mean at least two things. Firstly, Fang Yuan has a lot of immortal materials. One rank 9 wind path immortal material is not important in his eyes. Secondly, even though he is the #1 person in the world, he still keeps his composure and scheming mind. He does not overly rely on his strength. Sigh, it would have been great if I managed to kill him back then. Fang Yuan has already grown fully. With such a nature, he is too terrifying. When Xianxia true inheritance's transaction ended, Fang Yuan's main body was already in Western Desert. Western Desert, Fang Clan's headquarters. Fang Clan's supreme elders were almost fully gathered. They stared at Fang Yuan like he was a fatal enemy. Everyone, don't be too nervous. Really, I came here to make a transaction with Fang Clan. Fang Yuan smiled. But Fang Clan's immortals felt huge pressure weighing on them. Fang Clan's first supreme elder Fang Gong said, "Is it our fortune or misfortune to have received your attention?" Everyone, we have quite the relationship actually. Fang Yuan started to activate his killer move. As the aura leaked, all of Fang Clan's Gu immortals stood up from their seats. They quickly activated their immortal Gu. A battle was about to start. Fang Yuan, what are you doing? This is our Fang Clan's headquarters. Earlier when we were outside, you said you wanted to make a transaction. If you attack now, who will believe your words in the future? Fang Clan's Gu immortals called out with intense nervousness. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, if I wanted to harm you, I could have attacked from the start. Can your Fang Clan stop me? As he said so, his appearance changed. Fang Clan's Gu immortals were shocked. Swan Bujin. Fang Yuan activated familiar face again, changing into another appearance. Fang Clan's Gu immortals saw Fang Yuan's appearance. They became shocked again. Fang Dichang. Fang Yun frowned. He was the adopted son of Fang Dichang. Seeing Fang Yuan's transformation, he felt repulsed. Lord Fang Yuan, did you come all the way to our clan just for this display of transformations to mock us? Fang Yuan looked at Fang Yun, saying with deep meaning, Yun heir, during this time when I was gone, why didn't you convert to wisdom path? Father gave you 3 wisdom path immortal Gu and even my wisdom path inheritance. Fang Clan has no wisdom path Gu immortal at the moment. If you do not take up this responsibility, who will? You. Fang Yun pointed at Fang Yuan. He stared with wide-opened eyes, filled with shock. The other Fang Clan Gu immortals also had a change of expression. They realized something from his words. They had a guess regarding the truth. The reality of it made them sink into panic. Indeed, I am Swan Bujin, who also became Fang Dichang later on. I have interacted with you guys much more than you think. Fang Yuan looked around as he laughed heartily. Fang Gong's expression was livid. He could not wait anymore. He stood out. What evidence do you have? Fang Yuan gave a bunch of evidence to the Fang Clan Gu immortals as he transmitted to Fang Gong, snickering. Fang Gong, you and Fang Dichang decided to sacrifice Swan Bujin to refine Divine Bean Palace. Do you really want me to expose it? Fang Yuan not only had evidence, he even had accurate facts. Fang Clan soon realized the whole story. So Fang Yuan infiltrated our Fang Clan long ago. He even became our external Supreme Elder. Oh heavens, even our second Supreme Elder Fang Dichang was replaced by him. We did not even notice. After Fang Clan's Gu immortals realized the truth, they all turned pale as cold sweat broke out. It was too terrifying. If not for Fang Yuan's reveal, they would still think that Fang Dichang was currently trapped inside Divine Emperor City. Ever since the Fate War ended, Fang Clan had been trying to negotiate with Heavenly Court to get back their Supreme Elder Fang Dichang. This means that Divine Bean Palace trapped your clone. while our second Supreme Elder died at your hands. Fang Gong looked at Fang Yuan with a cold gaze. Fang Gong was tall and sturdy, with long white hair and beard spreading around his head like a lion's mane. He had bulging muscles that resembled rocks. Facing the murderer of his second Supreme Elder, if it were any other person, he would have attacked already. But against Fang Yuan, he could only restrain himself. He looked at Fang Yuan with a complex gaze. There was anger and hatred in his eyes, but also helplessness and wariness. Fang Yuan was too strong, his demonic might was unparalleled, his reputation was unmatched. Fang Gong did not dare to make a rash move. Fang Yuan continued, saying that Fang Dichang died at my hands is both correct and also wrong. Fang Dichang's body is destroyed but his soul is in my hands. Do you want it back? Back then, to avoid the detection of Soul Lantern Gu, Fang Yuan did not kill Fang Dichang, he only separated his body and soul. Fang Dichang's soul was still kept in Fang Yuan's hands. Fang Clan's Gu immortals heard this, they became excited. Fang Dichang's soul is in your hands. Great, our second Supreme Elder can be saved. No wonder Central Continent has been so vague all this time, so they did not even have our second Supreme Elder in the first place. In the current world, fate has been destroyed. As long as Fang Dichang's soul is around, if he gets a Gu immortal body, he would return to Fang Clan again. If this Gu immortal body cultivates wisdom path, then after Fang Dichang revives, he will be an immense help to your entire clan. Now tell me, friends from Fang Clan, do you want to make a transaction with me? Fang Yuan stated his ultimatum. Fang Clan's Gu immortals were silent, they looked at Fang Gong. At the crucial moment, only a rank 8 Gu immortal like Fang Gong could make the decision. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2102, Going After Tiannan's True Inheritance. Chapter 2102, Going After Tiannan's True Inheritance. The answer to Fang Yuan's question was obvious for Fang Clan. Fang Gong nodded as he thought about his words before saying in a solemn tone, of course we are willing to transact, but Sir Fang Yuan, what do you want? If your request is too much, or if it exceeds our capability, then... Fang Yuan waved his hand, interrupting Fang Gong. Firstly, I need Thieves' Den. Secondly, I need Fang Clan to take over Green Ghost Desert and provide me with a vast number of soul cores. What I will give to you is not just Fang Dichang's soul. We can slowly discuss the details later. Fang Yuan gave loose conditions. Fang Clan's Gu immortals were excited about it but also held suspicions. Fang Yuan seemed to know what they were thinking. I can easily destroy your entire Fang Clan, why would I need to resort to other methods? I'll let you know, I've already done a transaction with Wu Yong. I am not a brutal person, killing is just a method. Unless I have to, I will not use brute strength to satisfy my requirements. Fang Clan's immortals were shaken internally. Fang Yuan's words had hidden meaning. He was saying that if they did not satisfy him, he would wage war on them, they would lose terribly and even get wiped out. Fang Gong felt bitter internally. Against this powerful and domineering Fang Yuan, what could he choose? Actually, the moment Fang Yuan showed up, Fang Clan no longer had a chance in the matter. Fang Clan had to cooperate with Fang Yuan, they had to undergo transactions. Otherwise, death. Heavenly Court could not stop Fang Yuan, Spectral Soul was even killed by him. Even before that, Southern Border's rank 8 Gu immortals were also harmed by him. What could the mere Fang Clan do against him? Even a super force would be exterminated. Looking at the past, Northern Plains He tribe had been destroyed, replaced by Baizu tribe. There was also Qin clan. Back then, they were incredibly powerful, but after provoking the young Spectral Soul, they were wiped out. Green Ghost Desert was now Qin clan's graveyard, it was right beside Fang Clan. Sometimes, one person could wipe out an entire force. In the Gu world, strength ruled above all. Thus, even though super forces had deep foundations, they would often be very careful when dealing with lone immortals or demonic immortals, especially when engaging in combat. In order to survive, Fang Clan agreed to Fang Yuan's requests. The two sides negotiated for some time before they arrived at a conclusion. Fong Yuan's terms were too relaxed. Fong clan could barely believe this was real. Was this the #1 demon in the world, Gu Fong Yuan? Because reality was much better than their expectations, these Fong clan Gu immortals' moods improved drastically. I said before, I am not someone who enjoys killing brutally. Cooperating with me has great benefits. The person who slaughtered his clan, killed all the Gu immortals in Hei Fan Grotto Heaven, participated in the Dong Fong tribe incident, partially accountable for Snowy Mountain Blessed Land's destruction, annexed his allies in Langya sect and the variant humans, destroyed 88 True Yang building, captured Southern Border's righteous path Gu immortals, killed Gu immortals from all the 5 regions and 2 heavens, participated in Heavenly Court's climactic battle, and the one who slaughtered spectral soul, Fong Yuan, said with an earnest expression. Fong clan's Gu immortals had twitching eyelids as they quickly agreed with him. Lord Fong Yuan is right. Working with Lord Fong Yuan is our clan's greatest blessing. Actually, we know about your circumstances back then, Lord Fong Yuan. Heavenly Court was simply too much of a bully. Fong clan's Gu immortals uttered words that seemed to be their heartfelt feelings. They showed no signs of insincerity. Fong Yun and Fong Ling were still too young. They remained silent. If Lord Fong Yuan is interested in creating a clan, my Fong clan will do our best to help you. Fong Gong ended the conversation with a promise that held great meaning. Fong Yuan looked at him with a deep gaze before leaving. At the next moment, he activated a killer move and vanished from everyone's sight. Fong Gong tried to induce Fong Yuan into creating a clan. It was for the sake of Fong clan. If their secret transaction was exposed in the future, Fong clan would be in a passive spot, their reputation would fall, they might even get attacked by other super forces. But if Fong Yuan creates a clan, he would go from the demonic path to the righteous path. By then, if this transaction was exposed, Fong clan would only face some criticism. Gu masters and Gu immortals who were lone and demonic cultivators could convert their statuses into members of the righteous path. Heavenly Lord Baizu was one such example. If a demonic or lone cultivator had enough battle strength to make the righteous path forces wary, they would not want to fight. When these Gu cultivators create their clan, if they were adept at dealing with the surroundings forces to create beneficial relationships, they might reach a certain agreement and balance, they would become part of the righteous path. The truth was, many super forces in history, be they in Western Desert, Eastern Sea, or Southern Border, involved such cases. Fong Yuan's transaction with Fong clan made Fong Gong realize that Fong Yuan was someone with such political view and ability. If a strong demonic cultivator stops focusing on fighting or killing, he would act like a righteous path member, he would be able to change his status. It is a pity that is not my goal. Fong Yuan smiled lightly to himself. In the 500 years of his previous life, he created the Bloodwing Demon sect. At its peak, there were 10,000 members. He learned of the true essence of strength at that time. In this world, a person's strength can surpass an entire organization's. Any sort of organization was just icing on the cake. Only when an individual had high battle strength would they truly be strong. Even the #1 super force, Heavenly Court, had to rely on venerable methods to survive at the moment of crisis. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed already. Thieves Denver. Fong Yuan started his closed cultivation, deciphering this damaged immortal Gu house. Meanwhile, his clone in Eastern Sea, Qi Si Ancestor, was also negotiating a transaction with Song clan. Right now, there were only Qi Si Ancestor and Xianxia Qi in the hall. Xianxia Qi was a rank 7 Gu immortal of Song clan. He was tasked to be stationed in Qi Si. He was their representative. Right now, Xianxia Qi had an ugly expression. He could not sit still. Because earlier, he had received a small request from Qi Si Ancestor, Tian Nan's true inheritance. Qi Si Ancestor claimed that his descendants wanted some development in refinement path, thus he wanted to make a transaction with Song clan. Song clan had once competed with Ruolai clan and Kai clan over the ownership of Ascending Heaven Plane. In the end, they won the true inheritance of old eccentric Tian Nan. Old eccentric Tian Nan was a genius of the remote antiquity era. He had high seniority, the first refinement path supreme grandmaster recorded in history, he was on par with old immortal Kong Ju and long-hair ancestor. Even after 3 million years, old eccentric Tian Nan's true inheritance still had immense value. Xianxia was silent for a while before replying, reporting to ancestor, I would not dare to lie. Ever since we obtained this refinement path true inheritance, our Song clan has been researching upon it. We specially chose to nurture Gu immortal seeds to make Tian Nan's true inheritance one of our signature strengths in the future. This is a huge matter, I cannot decide on it, allow me to report it first. But I would guess that the result might disappoint you, ancestor. Xianxia said in a polite tone that he would report it, but he was clearly rejecting the idea. Qi ancestor smiled as he waved his hand, you do not need to worry, that was just a thought that I had. Since Tian Nan's true inheritance is so precious to Song clan, why would I snatch it from you? We can forget about this matter. Xianxia had a grateful expression, as he stood up to express his gratitude. He mentioned several other super forces in Eastern Sea, they also had deep foundation in refinement path. Qi ancestor had a compassionate smile as he said, I'll remember your suggestions, don't be in a rush to leave, I have made some new tea. Meng Qiuzhen passed many dream realms recently, causing Fang Yuan's food path attainment to jump through master level from 0 foundation, becoming a grandmaster. Qi ancestor was Fang Yuan's clone, they shared attainment levels, while he organized his combat system, he created some new Qi path tea as well. After drinking the tea, Xianxia bid farewell to Qi ancestor respectfully. After returning to his estate, he used an immortal killer move to communicate with Song clan's headquarters. This matter concerned Qi ancestor, it was too important, Song clan's immortals soon learned of this situation. Song clan's Gu immortals put everything else aside as they quickly discussed. Back then our Song clan spent so much resources and manpower to gain ownership of ascending heaven plane and obtain Tian Nan's true inheritance. This Qi ancestor wants to take the fruit of our labor just like that. Wishful thinking. I think it was inappropriate to reject him on the spot. We need to give Qi ancestor some respect, at least, we should listen to his offer. No, Tian Nan's true inheritance is not for sale. Even though our Song clan specializes in light path and water path, these two true inheritances are not outstanding compared to other super forces. But with this Tian Nan's true inheritance, our success rate of refining immortal Gu will rise sharply, the benefit for our clan is long-lasting and immense. Song clan had been looking for a refinement path true inheritance all this time. The truth was, many Eastern Sea super forces were doing the same. Because Eastern Sea had the most abundant resources and immortal materials, once they had a high-quality refinement path true inheritance, the amount of benefits they would gain far surpassed the other regions. Tian Nan's true inheritance belongs solely to Song clan, this advantage might not be clear in the following years, but after decades or centuries, our Song clan's strength will definitely surpass the other super forces. But offending Qi ancestor like this might not be appropriate. Thinking about our current situation, after the Qi tide settled, all sorts of inheritances emerged, us super forces have been competing for them. Once we get into a deadlock, Qi ancestor would make the decision as the leader of the righteous Qi alliance. We need to consider if Qi ancestor will become biased after this, when he makes a decision in the future, will he purposely strip away our benefits? During this period of time, Qi ancestor was truly very busy. Eastern Sea's righteous path forces joined his righteous Qi alliance, when they competed for true inheritances, it became the righteous Qi alliance's internal affair. At some point, it became a trend to ask Qi ancestor to make the decision in a case of dispute, more and more forces started to find Qi ancestor. Fang Yuan had very profound political skills, Qi ancestor was able to make decisions that could satisfy both parties in the dispute most of the time. Thus, Qi ancestor's reputation rose every day. Song clan's Gu immortal had such a worry, it was not strange. We can satisfy any of his other requests, there is nothing wrong with improving our relationship with Qi ancestor. But he wanted Tian Nan's true inheritance, how do I put this? Qi ancestor has a really keen sense, as expected of someone who could contest with Fang Yuan. Earlier, Eastern Sea's super forces were friendly to Qi Si ancestor, wanting to rely on him to resist Wu Shuai and the variant human alliance. But now, after the battle to pursue Fang Yuan, Qi Si ancestor was enemies with Fang Yuan. The attitude of many Eastern Sea forces including Song clan had changed a lot. Xianxia Qi, when you rejected Qi Si ancestor, what did he do? Song Qi Yuan asked. Xianxia Qi quickly replied, he gave up very quickly, there was no change in his attitude. He is very understanding and magnanimous, he even asked me to drink his tea. That new Qi Path tea is really amazing. Qi Si ancestor named his new tea triple-layered Qi tea. This tea was made using heaven Qi, earth Qi, and human Qi. In the cup, heaven Qi was at the top, resembling floating clouds. Human Qi was condensed into a lump, resembling a pill that floated in the middle of the cup. Earth Qi sank to the bottom, the fragrance of the tea was deeply concealed, only after it was drank would it emit the fragrance and leave a lingering aftertaste. After Song clan's Gu immortals heard the description, the unease in their hearts faded away slightly. Qi Si ancestor is really magnanimous. Our Song clan has always been respectful to him. Seeing his attitude, we should not have much to worry about. Even if he was angry, as the righteous Qi alliance leader, he would not go overboard. Tian Nan's true inheritance concerns immense benefits, it will be the core inheritance of our clan in the future, we cannot lose it. After the Song clan Gu immortals discussed for a long time, they made up their minds, they would leave this as it is. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2103, Song clan faces disaster. Chapter 2103, Song clan faces disaster. Several days later. Inside the sovereign immortal aperture. Dream realm. After an intense battle of life and death, the opponent in front of Meng Qiuzhen finally fell to the ground. I want to see who you really are. Meng Qiuzhen lost control of the body, he was acting as a young man who angrily went up and pulled off the opponent's veil. But the appearance shocked the young man deeply. Father, how can it be you? The young man shouted as his body trembled. The one who fell was his father, he smiled in satisfaction as he said, my son, you did well. You've learned all the killer moves of our clan, but your heart lacks sufficient hatred and sadness. I have a terminal illness anyway, I cannot live for long, it is better to sacrifice myself for you. The young man broke into tears, Father, why can't we give up on hatred and live in seclusion? Why must we take revenge at all cost? The young man's father stared at him fixedly, our entire family was killed by the enemy, your mother, your grandparents, your younger brothers and sisters, they were all killed. This hatred is above anything else, how can we not take revenge? Remember, your father died because of this. If you do not take revenge, my death will be in vain, would have died because of you. The young man's body shook as he said in a hoarse voice, Father. He wept in pain as a pale blue flame started to burn around his body at this time. His father saw this flame as became very happy, good, 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 such a powerful agony blue heart flame, it is enough to take our revenge, we can take revenge now. Saying so, the young man's father took his final breath. Oh no! Meng Qiuzhen cried out internally. Seeing his father's death, the agony blue heart flame on the young man's body expanded rapidly, it burned with at least 10 times of the intensity as before. Meng Qiuzhen's soul was still in the dream, he instantly felt a surge of sadness, anger, and hatred, they poured into his heart like a torrential river. I cannot lose myself. This is the hardest part of the dream realm. Meng Qiuzhen desperately held on but he started to lose his grip in a few moments. Create dream. Without a choice, he immediately used a dream path immortal killer move to defend his soul. In a newly created dream within a dream, he was situated in a large room. The room broke out in flames, it was burning in blue flames. Meng Qiuzhen quickly took action, extinguishing the fire all over the house, trying to save it. After a chaotic period, the fire started to dwindle, the sturdy house was also burned to a crisp, only an intact guest room was left. I survived. Meng Qiuzhen let out a breath of air, dispelling the killer move dream within dream as he returned to the original dream realm. The final hurdle of the dream realm was simply too fatal. Meng Qiuzhen was almost engulfed by emotions. He nearly forgot about reality and the dream completely, submerging entirely into this dream. Of course, each time he explored a dream, his main body would stay outside to guard against any accidents. He would take action if something happened. This dream realm was finally passed. Together with the gains of the earlier few dream realms, Fang Yuan's Fire Path attainment level reached Great Grandmaster. Fire Path attainment level reached Great Grandmaster. I can finally annex those Fire Path grotto heavens in the two heavens. Looking at the time, Wu Shuai's method should have activated already. Fang Yuan's main body assessed. Immemorial two heavens. Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. On a vast grassland, there was red-colored fire beard grass growing everywhere. It was harvest season. Gu masters of the grotto heaven started to use Gu worms to collect the fire beard grass. Crack, crack. From somewhere, a terrifying sound could be heard from below. The moment the Gu masters sensed something, they were faced with a fatal threat. Countless ants came up from underground. Some were finger-sized, some were large as carriages. The number of ants was uncountably large. They instantly engulfed the entire fire beard grassland. Skeleton Grotto Heaven. What is going on? What is going on? The Grotto Heaven Gu immortal in charge of raising the bone armor hounds was flustered and helpless. The 1,000 or so bone armor hounds that he was in charge of rearing started to growl in anguish. Some were rolling on the ground, biting in a frenzy. The Gu immortal had a pale expression. Oh no, I'm finished. Granny said that I had to take care of these bone armor hounds with utmost carefulness, but I actually screwed up so badly. Some bone armor hounds started to die. A large number of ants crawled out of their corpses. The Gu immortal gritted his teeth in anger. So these ants are the cause of this. I want you all to, ugh. The Gu immortal was quickly shocked and uncertain. Because more and more ants came out of the bone armor hounds, some were even coming out from the ground. These ants were like raging tides. The size was growing rapidly. The Gu immortal was very shocked. There was even immortal Gu aura among them. The Gu immortal did not dare to stay here. He quickly retreated. Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. Imperial Court. Your Majesty, Chuzhou, Wan, Qingzhou, Lianzhou and other areas are experiencing ant plagues. The ant plagues are too terrifying. In just half a day, hundreds of thousands of mortals died. 100 cities got wiped out. Within the ant plague, there are rank 6 and 7 immortal ants. All of the officials in the various provinces are troubled. The current dynasty's emperor frowned with a solemn expression. The ant plague is too vicious. It is not something we can resolve. The current matter at hand is to contact the Grotto Lord. Song Clan Headquarters. Grandpa, you're so nice to me. Thank you for the immortal Gu. Song Yisher held the rank 6 water path immortal Gu in her hands as she spoke happily. Song Clan's first supreme elder Song Qi Yuan was her grandfather. At this moment, Song Qi Yuan looked at his beloved granddaughter. He said in concern, our clan is researching Tian Nan's true inheritance. This water path immortal Gu is our first success. But my dear granddaughter, don't go around flaunting it. Tell others that you captured this wild immortal Gu by chance. Even though I am the first supreme elder, I cannot be openly biased towards you. I get it, I get it. Song Yisher looked at the water path immortal Gu in her hands with overflowing joy. While she was toying around with it in her hands, her face suddenly turned pale as she held her tummy. So much pain, so painful. She fell down weakly. Her face had turned white like snow. Initially, only her stomach was hurting, but soon, the unbearably intense pain spread to her entire body. My granddaughter, what's happening? Song Qi Yuan was shocked. He quickly checked. At the next moment, Song Qi Yuan found that there were countless ants roaming around in Song Yisher's body, devouring her flesh. The thing that made him even angrier was that these ants were actually eating away at her Dao marks. Such evil ants, such vicious methods. Song Qi Yuan quickly made his move. A pure white light shrouded over Song Yisher. The light split into countless threads that entered her body, killing all of these ants in an instant. Song Qi Yuan cultivated light path. His attainment level was very high. he used his methods with great proficiency, easily suppressing the situation. But good times did not last long. Soon, new ants grew out and continued to torture Song Yishe. Song Qiyuan's brows were tightly locked. He felt heartache at her plight but also deep anger. He soon realized the problem. It turned out that these new ants were emerging from Song Yishe's immortal aperture. "My granddaughter, bear with the pain, take a look at your immortal aperture." Song Qiyuan tried to speak to her in a gentle tone. Song Yishe took a look at her immortal aperture as her face turned pale with shock. She cried with reddened eyes, so many ants. "Grandfather, my immortal aperture is going to be destroyed by these ants." The terrifying ant plague spread around the many Gu immortals of the righteous Qi alliance. The grotto heavens of the two heavens were the main victims. Old immortal Huayu, Granny Skeleton, and Fire Plane grotto heavens owner were the main targets. Other than them, there were the Song clan, the Ruolai clan, and the Kai clan. As for the remaining Eastern Sea super forces, even though they faced the ant plague too, it was to a smaller extent, involving their external resource points. Once the ant plague appeared, it immediately received the attention of the entire righteous Qi alliance. "This ant plague is too strange, it is clearly targeting us. We didn't find anything strange earlier, the variant human alliance is completely intact. Such powerful ants, even an idiot knows that this is the work of Wu Shuai. To think that Wu Shuai is just a mere clone of Fang Yuan, yet he has such a terrifyingly vicious method." The righteous Qi alliance soon found the culprit. They were furious and gathered to discuss it. Many of the victims displayed the ants in their territories. The aura of these ants varied from weak to strong, from mortal to immortal. They came in all sorts of shapes and sizes, there was no clear pattern. These ants are very scary. The most terrifying thing is that they can devour Dao marks to refine and raise their rank themselves. They are too hard to eliminate, we could not find any ant eggs. And the biggest question now is, when did we get hit by this move? The Gu immortals discussed among themselves while Qi Si ancestor sat at the main seat, holding this session for them. He had a worried expression but he secretly admired Wu Shuai internally. "I've been trying to complete my combat system and create core killer moves. Thus, I asked the main body to get Xianxia true inheritance. To think that Wu Shuai has already gone one step further and innovated, creating an even more complex killer move, lingering poisonous ant plague." Qi Si ancestor knew some details. Even though Fang Yuan's main body and Wu Shuai did not tell him, they were not keeping things a secret either. In their interactions, they exposed some details. It turned out that after Meng Qiuzhen became an immortal and obtained multiple dream path immortal Gu, his efficiency in exploring dream realms rose tremendously. Fang Yuan's food path and poison path rose to grandmaster level. Clones shared his attainment levels. Wu Shuai used his quasi-supreme refinement path and enslavement path attainment levels, as well as wood path grandmaster, to create a qualitative change and make a breakthrough. Originally, Wu Shuai's ants came from green ant ascetic. Even though this method had great battle strength, a long time had passed since his era. This time, Wu Shuai referenced the killer move Qing Chou. On the basis of green ant ascetic, he made a breakthrough and allowed his ants to devour Dao marks to auto-refine themselves into higher ranks. But Wu Shuai's main body could not use the move, only Fang Yuan's main body could use it. Lingering poisonous ant plague was in essence a compound killer move comprising poison path, enslavement path, refinement path, wood path, and food path. It even expended unrestrained heavenly marks. This move had an incredibly powerful concealment effect. It began by using the advantage of poison path, possessing concealment and infectiousness. After the killer move's Dao marks infect the target's immortal aperture, it would turn into miniature ants that devour the surroundings to grow stronger and increase in numbers. After they reach a certain size, they would turn into the terrifying ant plague. To completely get rid of the ant plague, one would need to eliminate the respective Dao marks. But currently, the righteous Qi alliance had not found out this fact yet. Even if they knew, they would not have efficient methods to deal with this compound killer move either. 1. Actual cities in China. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2104, Helpless Immortals. 2104 Helpless Immortals. In the hall at the bottom of Qi Si. The representatives of the clans in the righteous Qi alliance gathered with many different wills, discussing on how to resolve the lingering poisonous ant plague. The ant plague had just been discovered, the clans did not have any good ideas. Thus gradually, their gazes shifted towards Qi Si ancestor. The grotto heaven owners that resided in the two heavens were already gritting their teeth. They asked Qi Si ancestor to stand up for them. The ant plague harmed almost all the two heavens grotto heavens righteous Qi alliance members. These people were considered closest to Qi Si ancestor. As for Eastern Sea's forces, only Song clan, Roa Lai clan, and Kai clan were affected. Thus, Eastern Sea's Gu immortals deduced, did this method originate from the two heavens? Song clan, Roa Lai clan, and Kai clan got hit by it because they have ascending heaven plane. Nobody suspected Qi Si ancestor to be the culprit. Because the ones who suffered the most were Qi Si ancestor's closest allies in the righteous Qi alliance. After staying silent for a moment, Qi Si ancestor said, "We need to resolve this ant plague. In my opinion, this problem is even greater than the Qi harvest fruit from before. As long as the Qi harvest fruit does not explode, it would not damage the grotto heaven. But this ant plague harms Gu immortals and their foundations at all times. Among us here, some have not encountered this problem. But if we do not try to resolve this now, nobody will be spared in the future." The immortals in the hall were all very worried. Gu immortals were astute people, everyone acknowledged Qi Si ancestor's words. If not for this, they would not have gathered to discuss this so quickly. The ant plague was like a fire, even though it was only burning some people now, if it was not put out in time, everyone would be affected by it eventually. Qi Si ancestor continued, "Resolving this ant plague will not be like the Qi harvest fruit problem. During that time, I could still try to solve it, but this ant plague does not concern Qi path. Thus, we will have to rely on all of you, we must work together to get through this. We need to gather the wisdom path Gu immortals of the respective clans and make deductions together. During the process, if they need any immortal Gu, killer move, a particular path's Gu immortal great expert, or even the help of a true inheritance, you need to provide it without holding back." Qi Si ancestor's expression became increasingly solemn. Even if we cannot resolve this, we need to be able to suppress and slow down the ant plague for now. If we cannot even suppress it, we will need to wage war on the variant human alliance again. Qi Si ancestor spoke with a firm tone, his expression was very serious. The hall fell into silence. The Gu immortals stopped talking. Qi Si ancestor's words made good sense. The terrifying part of the ant plague was that it consumed the foundation of the Gu immortal. If it could not be restrained or stopped in time, the ant plague would grow increasingly strong while the righteous Qi alliance would become weakened severely. After a long time, a clear difference in strength would be apparent between the righteous Qi alliance and variant human alliance. If they did not attack early and deal with the variant human alliance, eventually, the righteous Qi alliance would not have the strength to contest the variant human alliance anymore. The killer move lingering poisonous ant plague involved many paths and even used up unrestrained heavenly marks. This killer move was at the strategic level, it had terrifying might. But waging war on the variant human alliance? Isn't that simply waging war on Guyu Feng Yuan and Wu Shuai? How can we be Feng Yuan's match? Even spectral soul fell at his hands. But if we do not fight, are we going to wait for death? There is no longer an option for us, this demon Feng Yuan is too overbearing. No, even Heavenly Court could not do anything against Feng Yuan, even though our righteous Qi alliance has many members. Isn't Feng Yuan also accumulating strength right now? Maybe we can get help from Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court is not worthy of being the leader of the righteous path. Our Lord Alliance leader has already contacted them, wanting to work together to deal with the variant human alliance. They have been stalling with excuses. In my opinion, the best situation is for us to work together and resolve this ant plague. Even though Feng Yuan is behind this, he has not taken action personally, this is his probe towards us. We need to perfectly resolve this ant plague and show him our strength. The immortals in the hall discussed, they soon came to a consensus. They did not want an all-out battle to the death. Eastern Sea's Gu immortals did not have the same nature as Northern Plains Gu immortals. Furthermore, All of the clans were busy competing for the newly exposed true inheritances. They were too busy. Why shouldn't they strengthen themselves instead of pitting their lives against the enemies? For normal fights, they would be wins or losses. There was hope. That was why people would want to fight. But to fight against Fang Yuan to the death. It would not lead to the enemy's death, they would certainly die themselves. All the Gu immortals did not say this, but they had the same opinion internally. Heavenly Court's distressed state, spectral soul's loss, all these proved that Fang Yuan had terrifying might and incredible craftiness. Eastern Sea's Gu immortals did not know that spectral soul's main body was still around. In their eyes, Fang Yuan even managed to kill a former venerable. His strength was simply too much, his demonic might was unparalleled. Unless they had absolutely no choice, they did not want to provoke such a person. In that case, let's try to resolve the ant plague. Qi Si ancestors' final sentence ended this meeting. The righteous Qi alliance started to put an effort to research on how to resolve this. But was the killer move lingering poisonous ant plague so simple? The more the Gu immortals from the righteous Qi alliance researched, the less confident they got. Facing everyone's expectations, even the wisdom path Gu immortals doing the deductions felt increasing pressure as time passed. Days passed, they did not produce any good results. All the clans were unhappy. Qi Si ancestor also personally came to ask about it. The wisdom path Gu immortals with Huan at the lead had to ask, "Don't be anxious, we have a discovery. The ant plague contains wood path profundity. These ants are able to grow while growing is a specialty of wood path. This is likely because Fang Yuan fought against Qing Chou and gained some inspiration from it." To be honest, these wisdom path Gu immortals were quite impressive to have realized this. Thus, Eastern Sea's wood path experts were brought over and participated in the research. There was no result again. The wisdom path and wood path Gu immortals felt increasing pressure. They shouted, "Enslavement path, enslavement path." The ant plague contains enslavement path profundity. These ants are organized in an orderly manner, they work in unison to create a huge plague. This is the power of enslavement path. Thus, the righteous Qi alliance's enslavement path experts also joined in the group and participated in the research. But the research still made no progress. The wisdom path, wood path, and enslavement path Gu immortals could not stand the pressure. They shouted again, "We need poison path experts." There were not many poison path experts, but they still existed. Under everyone's expectations, the poison path experts also joined in the research. We also need food path experts. These ants have the ability to grow from devouring food. The researching Gu immortals said in agreement. However, food path Gu immortals were just too rare. After talking among themselves, the immortals had to invite the famous Eastern Sea lone immortal, Zui Xianwang. Zui Xianwang had many acquaintances. He had some sort of connection with most of the righteous path forces, but he was not currently in Eastern Sea. "We need refinement path as well. We found that the core of the ant plague is refinement path. Undoubtedly, after Fang Yuan obtained Langya sect, his refinement path attainment is too deep. These ants are able to devour Dao marks and refine themselves into immortal Gu. This is too shocking." Eastern Sea's clans quickly put an effort together. They sent most of their clans' refinement path Gu immortals over. With everyone's collective effort, progress in the research was showing. These clans' elites were really talented people. But they could not find the most important and fundamental result. Did this single move, lingering poisonous ant plague, overwhelm the entire Eastern Sea righteous path? That was the fact of the matter. This was simply unbelievable to the righteous Qi alliance's Gu immortals, but they had no choice but to admit it. Shen Songxing said some words that showed deep wisdom. "At this point, I've already understood some things. That Fang Yuan has the sovereign immortal body, he cultivates all paths, he is an all-round genius. This compound killer move comprises poison path, wood path, refinement path, food path, and enslavement path profundities. He put the specialties of all these paths together in an intrinsic manner. As for us, we can only cultivate one path, or two at most. If we cultivate poison path, we cannot understand wood path. If we cultivate wood path, we know nothing about food path. Because of this, even if we work together, we cannot solve this ant plague problem. Even now, the righteous Qi Alliance had not discovered that lingering poisonous ant plague killer move also comprised heaven path profundity. However, nobody in history had ever cultivated heaven path. It was normal that they did not discover this. How can a person cultivate every path like this? Speaking of which, spectral soul is too useless. Shadow Sect and Zombie Alliance spent over 100,000 years of accumulation to refine a rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus Gu, but he actually lost it to Fong Yuan like this. Creating compound killer moves is simply as easy as breathing for him. After some time passes from now, he is going to have even more new methods. This demon only used one move to send us into panic and helplessness. Why is it that our Eastern Sea has to be the one suffering from this number one demon's method? The righteous Qi Alliance could not find a solution. While venting their frustrations out loud, they felt disdain towards spectral soul, they felt increasing hatred towards Fong Yuan, along with dense wariness. They also felt helpless and tearful about their own fate. In that case, let's fight with them. Qi Si Ancestor surged with fighting spirit, he said with a firm tone. Lord Alliance Leader, the situation has not reached that stage yet. A Gu Immortal immediately interjected. Qi Si Ancestor sighed. Our righteous Qi Alliance's losses have been severe these days, carrying on like this is pointless, we will fall into that vicious Fong Yuan's trap. If we wait anymore, we will not have the strength to fight anymore. These days, the two heavens Gu Immortals suffered tremendous losses. Among Eastern Sea's righteous path forces, Song Clan, Kai Clan, and Ruolai Clan suffered the most losses. As for the other clans, even though the ant plague also affected them, it had just started for them after all. Thus, most of the righteous path clans did not want to wage war now. Of course, this situation was something that Fong Yuan intended for when he took action earlier. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2105, Obtaining True Inheritances. 2105 Obtaining True Inheritances. We still have hope. We are not in a truly desperate situation yet. That's right, even though we gathered most of the elite Gu Immortals of our clans, we have not taken out our true inheritances for them to use as reference. With these true inheritance contents, if we can come up with ideas together, there is a high chance of resolving the ant plague crisis. Qi Si Ancestor was silent for a while before nodding slowly. The situation is very severe, I believe all of you know that even without me saying it. Thus, everyone needs to contribute their true inheritances, please show us your utmost sincerity. If anyone dares to hide their inheritance or conceal it, don't blame me for taking matters into my own hands. As long as we can get rid of the ant plague, the entire righteous Qi Alliance will benefit. Everyone's efforts will be rewarded and compensated. I believe that our contribution board would be the best answer to you. To resolve the ant plague, all the clans started to make contributions. Hua clan took out their snake poison chi thread true inheritance, Nan Gong clan took out great profound true inheritance, Xia clan took out remnant leaves true inheritance, Su clan took out big belly true inheritance. Originally, even though righteous Qi Alliance had a contribution board, there were few names on it. Before this, Qi Si Ancestor also asked the clans to exchange inheritances and killer moves mutually, but these were all superficial exchanges. After all, if there was no need to, who would take out their unique inheritance to trade to others? But now, the situation was different. Not only did the contribution board's length get longer, the intensity of the competition over rankings also rose, the names on the list moved up and down constantly. Different inheritance details had varying value, some were more precious than others, while some were hard to assess. But Qi Si Ancestor was Fong Yuan's clone, they shared attainment level, he had deep knowledge about this and gave all the clans' inheritances an appropriate assessment of value. Even if the contributor was not happy with it, Qi Si Ancestor would gather the immortals and discuss together. Each time, his arguments would convince all the Gu immortals and leave them unable to rebuke him. As this happened with increasing frequency, Qi Si Ancestor's prestige also rose as well. The righteous Qi Alliance's members were all in awe towards Qi Si Ancestor's wealth of knowledge. First Supreme Elder, are we really handing over Tian Nan's true inheritance? This is Tian Nan's true inheritance after all. Back then, in order to get ascending heaven plane and obtain this true inheritance, we spent so much effort and suffered immense hardship. Song Clan's Gu immortals went to find Song Chi Yuan, they were very unwilling. Song Chi Yuan sighed deeply as he said helplessly, "Can't you see the current situation? It has gone out of our control. Everyone knows that we possess Tian Nan's true inheritance, they have already been asking us to contribute it time and time again, even dragging it until now is our limit. Xia clan gave their molten casting true inheritance while Tang clan contributed their myriad fusion true inheritance. If we do not give them Tian Nan's true inheritance, we will not be able to explain for ourselves. Everyone is looking at us now, who would let us off?" Song Clan's Gu immortals turned silent. The situation had unknowingly gone out of their control. Initially, all the clans had good intentions. In order to avoid war and to resolve the ant plague, they contributed some true inheritances. Even though these true inheritances were of wood path, food path, and other relevant paths, they were not too important or valuable. But even if the value was not high, they were still ranked accordingly. Some people became higher ranked, some were lower ranked. If the difference was not obvious, so be it. But this contribution board indicated everyone's contribution very clearly. The clans at the top would feel unhappy when they looked at it. Why did we contribute so much while others make barely any contribution? Let alone the rest, doesn't that clan have that true inheritance we need? Why are they still keeping silent? Look at us, we even gave up our important true inheritance. With such pressure, those at the lower end of the list had to choose some inheritances to contribute. This way, the people at the bottom would go to the top, they would feel unhappy again. If they still ranked below the rest, they would be mocked at by the top contributors, they might even face humiliating criticism. Is this all that your clan has? You can't even give us anything good, you dare to call yourselves a super clan. Gu immortals were astute people. When they took out their inheritances, they would think of offering those with similar value, to make sure everyone had around the same ranking. But how could that happen? There were too many names on the contribution board. Who could be certain that their inheritance was just about right? And even if some Gu immortals felt that it was about right, others would think differently. Even if everyone was happy about it, don't forget who the person evaluating these inheritances was. Chi-Si ancestor pretended to be regulating this exchange, but he was creating problems for them secretly. Thus, all the different clans competed and mocked each other, the competition became intense. The clans started taking out more and more valuable inheritances. This led to the pain of loss, which turned into anger and unhappiness when they saw those people who contributed less than them. Thus, the situation got out of their control. All the clans had to take out their top-tier true inheritances. Song clan was not the first one. And Tian Nan's true inheritance was already an eyesore to some people, they wanted it to be contributed. I've already given up this true inheritance. Why is your Song clan keeping Tian Nan's true inheritance? Do you think this is the right thing to do? Humph, my clan's sacrifice is so big, I need to make sure Song clan suffers as well. Song clan's Tian Nan's true inheritance definitely has huge value. Using this chance, we can obtain it easily while having a good reason for it. This is great. All the clans had many Gu immortals, these were all elites. The contribution of true inheritances became a competition. It turned into a political conflict between the clans. The righteous Qi Alliance's members were tearing at each other, while the biggest beneficiary was the high and mighty Chi-Si ancestor who watched this spectacle from his main seat. Fang Yuan not only obtained Tian Nan's true inheritance, he also got several other refinement path true inheritances. There were also some food path inheritances that he was interested in. Undoubtedly, Eastern Sea was very rich, these super forces had very deep foundations. They definitely had even better things, but it was not wise to ask them for more. If the pressure intensified, it might backfire instead. What made the righteous Qi Alliance slightly happier was that after the immense contributions, they finally saw some results. Even though they could not get rid of the lingering poisonous ant plague, there were methods that could restrict its growth now. Brainstorming was still an effective strategy. Even though Fang Yuan's killer move was unique, with the hard work of the entire Eastern Sea righteous path, it was only a matter of time until they resolved it. Using one killer move to decimate the entire region's righteous path was impossible to begin with. Killer moves were fixed, they had flaws, that was why Gu immortals could improve upon them. Fang Yuan did not think this would work, his true motive was to get refinement path inheritances, everything else was an added bonus. He wanted to become venerable through refinement path. He had to become venerable to reach a qualitative change that would give him the strength to resist star constellation, giant sun, and spectral soul. Of course, it was not that Fang Yuan could not snatch these inheritances using force. His current battle strength had surpassed the entire Eastern Sea righteous path. But the efficiency was just too low, how could it compare to the speed of their willing contribution? Also, true inheritances could be destroyed, it was a risky thing to do. And finally, it would waste Fang Yuan's time and energy, his growth would become slower, Fang Yuan would also waste his luck. All these super forces had immense foundation and huge luck, fighting against them would expend his own luck. When he went to Crazed Demon Cave, Fang Yuan would need to face venerable opponents, it was better to conserve his strength instead of wasting it. This was also why Fang Yuan made transactions with Southern Borders Wu clan and Western Deserts Fang clan. Fang Yuan's main body soon got hold of the contents of Tian Nan's true inheritance and the others. Among all the inheritances that the righteous Qi alliance took out, Tian Nan's true inheritance had the highest value. Right now, on the contribution board, Song clan was placed at the top spot. Old eccentric Tian Nan described his grand and maniacal ambitions in this true inheritance. He wanted to refine the immemorial two heavens and even the five regions, to turn them into his own external immortal aperture. There was no doubt about it, he failed. Even a venerable could only refine the Tao marks of their own path in the outside world. Yet, old eccentric Tian Nan wanted to refine all the Tao marks of the world. In Fang Yuan's case, this was completely possible in theory. When Gu cultivators refine Gu, weren't they just refining the relevant Tao marks or Tao fragments of the Gu? The biggest obstacle to old eccentric Tian Nan was none other than Heaven Path. He found that no matter what idea he came up with, he could not refine Heaven Path Tao marks. Eventually, he found an extremely risky method but ended up failing. In historical records, old eccentric Tian Nan had an eccentric nature, he tried to refine the heavens and ended up dying as a result. It was said that being half a step ahead of the era was genius, while being one step ahead of the era was insanity. Old eccentric Tian Nan was such a lunatic. 2 million years passed and the eras progressed, one person who managed to resolve old eccentric Tian Nan's biggest problem finally appeared. Limitless Demon Venerable. He succeeded in his heaven path refinement. Over 1 million years passed again, Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable entered Crazed Demon Cave in his exploration, he obtained Limitless Demon Venerable's method that could do this. Indeed, it was Unrestrained Heavenly Mark. The Unrestrained Heavenly Mark killer move that Lu Wei Yin gave to Fang Yuan had a long history, it was not created by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, Paradise Earth merely modified it, the source was limitless. And what surprised Fang Yuan was that in this Tian Nan's true inheritance, there were Reckless Savage Demon Venerable's notes. It turned out that Reckless Savage Demon Venerable had also obtained Tian Nan's true inheritance in Ascending Heaven Plane. Even though he learned the true inheritance's details, he did not destroy it, he even made it more sturdy to pass on to the future generations. In his later years, Reckless Savage Demon Venerable returned here and added his own refinement path experience in Tian Nan's true inheritance. This old man Tian Nan is really daring, speaking of which, if I can refine the entire heavenly Tao, that would be so cool. It is a pity that refinement path does not suit me, I still prefer close combat using my body. But I can make use of those remaining beast men. Didn't they want to use food path to claim victory? Wishful thinking. They think I have not discovered that gluttonous demon frog. Using the notes, Fang Yuan saw that the mystery of the past history was unveiled to an extent. In historical records, reckless savage demon Venerable used the lingering beast men in his old age to create reckless savage grotto heaven. He left behind his true inheritance inside it. It turned out that reckless savage demon Venerable was using Tian Nan's true inheritance to scheme against and make use of those beastmen's methods instead. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2106, Forcing a Rank 8 to Death. Chapter 2106, Forcing a Rank 8 to Death. The night wind howled in his ears, Fire Plane Grotto Lord flew in immemorial white heaven. He concealed his traces as he moved. If others looked, they would only see a vague figure moving rapidly. The only thing was that the trail he moved on had high temperature, but wind soon blew the anomaly away. Fire Plane Grotto Lord had rank 8 cultivation level, but in an environment like immemorial white heaven, he still had to be very careful. If he acted more brazenly, he would cause immemorial desolate beasts to attack him. Especially those fire path immemorial desolate beasts, they had a huge interest in Fire Plane Grotto Lord. Fire Plane Grotto Lord was not weak of course, but he was not in the frame of mind to bother with such problems. If he wanted to hunt immemorial desolate beasts in immemorial white heaven, he would need to plan and make preparations beforehand. Fire Plane Grotto Lord rushed back to his grotto heaven as he assessed his own body. The ant plague in his body had already been suppressed. Fire Plane Grotto Heaven was affected long ago. The Gu immortals in the grotto heaven had also been hit by this vicious method. Poison Path excelled in traits like concealment and infectiousness. The Righteous Chi Alliance was right to ask Poison Path experts to participate in the research. The situation is stabilized at least, but Fire Plane Grotto Heaven is still in deep trouble. We need a lot of contribution points to salvage it. Fire Plane Grotto Lord was very worried. Fire Plane Grotto Heaven's losses were severe this time. Inside the grotto heaven, the largest fire beard grassland had perished, turning into ruins. The fire beard grass that had great vitality was gone without a trace, not even the roots were left. The vermilion flame wolves and red grass horses were also nearly extinct. The ant plague spared nothing. These wolves and horses were all eaten with no bones left behind. Our losses are too severe, but we still need to spend a huge sum to salvage this disaster. Fire Plane Grotto Lord frowned tightly. The Righteous Chi Alliance members paid such a huge price to research and gain some results that could suppress the lingering poisonous ant plague killer move. Even brothers became sensitive when it came to money, not to mention this Righteous Chi Alliance that had barely any cohesiveness. For the groups to survive and resist the powerful Fang Yuan, Wu Shui, and the Variant Human Alliance, they created the Righteous Chi Alliance. Eastern Sea's Righteous Path paid a huge price for this. They would not allow the rest to use these gains without paying a cost. According to the rules set by Righteous Chi Alliance, Fire Plane Grotto Lord had to pay a huge amount of resources or use high-quality true inheritances in exchange for contribution points, which could be used to save Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. But what else could he do except that? Fire Plane Grotto Lord sighed deeply in his heart. He was filled with worries towards the present and the future. This is only the first move by that demon Fang Yuan. This is likely just a test, but our clan has already suffered greatly. He will definitely make a second or third attack. Fang Yuan possesses the sovereign immortal aperture. He can annex rank 8 grotto heavens. Those grotto heavens of the Variant Human Alliance are dwindling. He has already annexed many of them. My clan's Fire Plane Grotto Heaven is definitely on his hunting list. Or more accurately speaking, all the grotto heavens in the 2 heavens are now his prey. Ever since Fang Yuan annexed Grand Swine Grotto Heaven and Time Difference Grotto Heaven, he had not stopped annexing others. The Variant Human Alliance had been subdued by him long ago. They could only watch as he annexed their grotto heavens, helpless against Fang Yuan. Many were definitely furious that their homelands were annexed by Fang Yuan, but they did not dare to say anything in spite of their rage. The commotion from the annexing of the apertures was too great. It was impossible to hide. Therefore, Fire Plane Grotto Lord and others clearly were aware of this information. The enemy is too powerful. Our Righteous Chi Alliance is clearly at a disadvantage. If we cannot match them in combat, we can only place our advantage in development. Fire Plane Grotto Lord analyzed inwardly. The grotto heavens of the two heavens had limited space. After countless years of development and accumulation, they had long since reached the point where they had no more development potential. However, Eastern Sea was vast and rich. Even if all these grotto heavens were added together, they could not compare to the size and wealth of Eastern Sea. This advantage was also the source of Righteous Chi Alliance's confidence against the variant human alliance. Even though the latter occupied Xia clan's territory, they only had a tiny area of Eastern Sea. In this aspect, the Righteous Chi Alliance had a clear advantage. Fang Yuan can also tell that we have this advantage, thus he used the compound killer move to weaken us. He is definitely not going to stop here. By then, us Gu immortals of the two heavens will become his main targets. Sigh. When will we finally be able to, Suddenly, the scene before Fire Plane Grotto Lord changed abruptly. The surroundings were covered in blue fog that trapped him in many layers. Fire Plane Grotto Lord quickly stopped moving. He activated his defensive and investigative methods. At the next moment, his expression changed. Battlefield killer move. Who are you? How dare you attack a member of the Righteous Chi Alliance? Come out, don't try to act mysterious. Fire Plane Grotto Lord shouted. But he only heard a wave of chuckling noises that resembled a child's voice. The laughter spread around Fire Plane Grotto Lord, causing this rank 8 Gu immortal to be unable to discern where the voice was coming from. Suddenly, a child attacked him from the huge blue fog without any notice. He stretched out his chubby little arm and quickly grabbed at Fire Plane Grotto Lord's back. Fire Plane Grotto Lord had already used an investigative killer move, even though its range was restricted to less than half of the usual because of this battlefield killer move. But it was enough for Fire Plane Grotto Lord to detect this child's action. However, Fire Plane Grotto Lord was still too slow. The mysterious child succeeded. Fire Plane Grotto Lord grunted as he was hit by the move. Bam! At the next moment, Fire Plane Grotto Lord unleashed a fierce attack and sparks of flames burst out and slaughtered the mysterious child on the spot. The child died, but there was no blood or flesh. He turned into a lump of blue fog. This mysterious child is made from the battlefield, but thankfully, the attack is not strong. Still, my defensive killer move was weakened by this. It has half of its strength left. Fire Plane Grotto Lord started to feel uneasy and anxious. He needed to break this battlefield killer move quickly. Even if he could not, he had to create a hole and communicate with the outside world to seek help. Fire Plane Grotto Lord started to use his methods. He attacked the surroundings and tried to break the battlefield. But it was useless. His methods were like harmless wind. The surrounding blue fog was endless and limitless. From time to time, mysterious children would appear from the blue fog. They were either male or female, having blue eyes. They surrounded Fire Plane Grotto Lord as they attacked continuously. Fire Plane Grotto Lord was clearly able to detect their appearance, but he could not stop them from attacking. Each time, he got hit by them. This seems to be a wisdom path battlefield. It is influencing my thoughts, causing me to act slower and slower. I cannot attack in advance to stop the children. While Fire Plane Grotto Lord was thinking, his expression suddenly changed. He felt that a fire path immortal Gu was stolen by the children from his immortal aperture. Fire Plane Grotto Lord quickly destroyed the child, but the surrounding blue fog surged towards him, sweeping the exposed fire path immortal Gu away. Fire Plane Grotto Lord chased after it for a while but could not find anything. Oh no! This is a theft path battlefield. These mysterious children can steal my immortal aperture's immortal Gu when they attack. I cannot stay here anymore, it is too dangerous. Originally, Fire Plane Grotto Lord felt that even though these mysterious children could not be guarded against, they were not strong, he could last a long time. But now, Fire Plane Grotto Lord became deeply shocked. His hair was standing on end, his expression turned very ugly. There was a pessimistic guess in his heart. This is a compound battlefield of theft path and wisdom path, or at least, it definitely contains these two paths. I've never heard of such a compound killer move before. If this is a new killer move, then the user is most likely. Fire Plane Grotto Lord thought of a name. He could not help but shudder. Just this name alone made him break out in cold sweat. He wanted this guess to be wrong, but at the next moment, Fang Yuan's figure slowly emerged. Life was this cruel after all. Guyu Fang Yuan. Fire Plane Grotto Lord took in a sharp breath, his eyes were staring wide as he looked at Fang Yuan in a daze. This was the number one demon in the world, he was smiling and appearing in front of him. This is my new killer move, what do you think about it? Fire Plane Grotto Lord, obediently hand over your immortal Gu and Fire Plane Grotto Heaven, I might allow you to surrender. Fang Yuan said calmly, the surrounding blue fog concealed his body, making his smile even more peculiar and sinister. This battlefield killer move was Fang Yuan's newest creation. Fang Yuan ventured into the territory of battlefield killer moves, the results were quite promising. This killer move used sneak attack immortal Gu as the core, it was a compound battlefield killer move that contained wisdom path, theft path, refinement path, time path, and others. After getting the information of Fire Plane Grotto Lord's route from Qi Si ancestor, Fang Yuan arranged an ambush here and used this method to test out the effect of his new killer move. Guyu Fang Yuan, I am not your match. Let me consider your request. Fire Plane Grotto Lord had a hoarse voice as he lowered his head. At the next moment, blazing flames started to burn around Fire Plane Grotto Lord's body with a loud sound. Immortal killer move, Furious Red Heart Flames. Fang Yuan. Within the Fire Plane Grotto Lord shouted, don't force me. With just one thought, I can burn all of the Gu worms and resources in my immortal aperture. Let me off. Give me a way out, let me leave the battlefield, I will hand my Gu worms to you. Fire Plane Grotto Lord said with a distorted expression. He knew that Fang Yuan was vicious and heartless, he tried to use this threat to survive. But Fang Yuan snorted coldly, do you think I care about those few immortal Gu? Or even the resources in your immortal aperture? Hehe, go ahead and burn. Incinerate your entire immortal aperture if you can, that will be a show. Fang Yuan did not take action personally, he vanished into the blue fog behind him. Next, a large number of blue-eyed children jumped out and attacked Fire Plane Grotto Lord continuously. Fire Plane Grotto Lord was extremely furious and sad as the children attacked him. After enduring for a few breaths of time, he growled in anger as the flames exploded around him, he had actually burned himself to a crisp. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2107, Invading Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. 2107 Invading Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. An exposed immortal aperture floated in the air, its entrance was not open but it absorbed the surrounding heaven and earth chi. Fang Yuan easily grabbed onto it, his immortal killer move could capture and relocate immortal apertures, it had originated from Blazing Heaven Demoness Fire Hand killer move. Now, this method had been modified by Fang Yuan into a compound killer move, its power rose greatly, the effects were shocking. Next, Fang Yuan deactivated the compound battlefield killer move and used heaven and earth travel to leave the place. Soon, the immortal aura leaked and the surrounding ancient desolate beasts and immemorial desolate beasts were attracted. Fang Yuan could not conceal his aura yet. It was not his expertise. After arriving at a safe location, Fang Yuan tossed Fire Plane Grotto Lord's immortal aperture into the sky. This was a rank 8 Grotto Heaven, it could only be attached to the 2 heavens, it would not land in the 5 regions. After the Grotto Heaven door opened, it took in heaven and earth chi and quickly settled into this location. But Fang Yuan did not move in, he only sent his immortal aperture's Gu immortals to scavenge the Grotto Heaven. During this time, Fang Yuan annexed more Grotto Heavens, his Dao marks increased in numbers again, the amount was so much that if he entered this unstable Grotto Heaven, he might cause it to burst. Soon, his Gu immortals returned. There were no immortal Gu and they only brought very few immortal materials. Everywhere is burning, everything went up in flames. These are the only resources left, Lord, please forgive us. The newly born heavenly spirit is also trying to destroy everything in the grotto heaven. This seems to be the obsession left by that rank 8 Gu immortal. His Gu immortal subordinates reported. Fang Yuan did not mind this, he let them back into the sovereign immortal aperture. After the grotto heaven stabilized, Fang Yuan would forcefully annex this grotto heaven. Even if the heavenly spirit was unwilling to, Fang Yuan had a method to suppress the heavenly spirit. He had already modified it into a compound killer move. Fang Yuan's ability at modifying compound killer moves was limited to only usual killer moves and battlefield killer moves. When using his usual killer moves and battlefield killer moves, all the Gu worms were inside Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. With the amplification of the unrestrained heavenly marks, he could unleash the might of a compound killer move. As for ancient battle formations, Gu formations, and immortal Gu houses, their Gu worms were all in the outside world. Without an environment of unrestrained heavenly marks, even if these methods were turned into compound killer moves, there would be no effect. As Fang Yuan annexed grotto heavens, he thought about the battlefield killer move he used earlier. This killer move was not strong enough offensively, it was focused on combining theft path and wisdom path. But in actual combat, this battlefield killer move's effect was not good. Fire Plane Grotto Lord was just an ordinary rank 8 Gu immortal, but Fang Yuan only managed to steal one rank 8 immortal Gu from him. Immortal Gu were too easy to destroy, the Gu immortal could destroy them with a single thought. Even if Fang Yuan exerted his wisdom path methods to the limit, he could only affect the thinking speed of rank 8s, he could not stop all their thoughts. It was extremely difficult to reach that step. Unless there was a huge difference in actual strength. Fire Plane Grotto Lord was a rank 8 Gu immortal after all, he had many Dao marks that naturally protected him. Furthermore, he also had decent defensive killer moves. In history, almost no wisdom path Gu immortals could reach this step against other similarly ranked immortals. Looking at it carefully, certain people like Peeping Gentleman, Sect Leader Mei, Finger Deducing Steward and others had such achievements. Many situations were unique and could not be replicated, but the total number was still less than 5. Even Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was not in this list. Of course, nobody knew if she could reach this step, there were no clear records in history. This showed that it was extremely difficult to suppress all the thoughts of a similarly ranked expert and make them unable to resist at all, even if it was only for a short period. The strongest methods of wisdom path Gu immortals against their enemies were still emotion-based. Thought, will, emotion, these were the three main wisdom path cultivation aspects. In this case, Fang Yuan's compound battlefield killer move did not have much value in actual use, it needed to be modified further. Even the best theories had to be tested in practice. Like a combat system. Creating a combat system out of nothing by simply staying in isolation was very difficult. There was a need for a powerful opponent or intense battle of life and death to test if a combat system was really superb or not. Thus, as Fang Yuan considered his own combat system these last days, he felt some gratitude towards people like Duke Long or Spectral Soul. Precisely because of them as reference, Fang Yuan had the qualifications to create his own combat system. After annexing this rank 8 Grotto Heaven, Fang Yuan's fire path Dao marks rose in numbers again. But Fang Yuan was not satisfied, he continued to move. This time, he placed his sights on Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. Immortal Killer Move, Heaven Form. Fang Yuan created a huge entrance into Fire Plane Grotto Heaven through brute force. The heavenly spirit of Fire Plane Grotto Heaven was a rabbit. Because it had devoured a 9 heavens fragment before, the rabbit was dazed and slow. But now, it was jumping around, screeching in fear and panic. The Gu immortals of Fire Plane Grotto Heaven noticed this and became very uncertain and shocked. The heavenly spirit is muddled, but the past grotto lords have used the killer move Humanly Flame Smoke to help it gain a bit of clarity compared to heavenly spirits of other grotto heavens. As long as the grotto heaven faces danger, the heavenly spirit will be uneasy. This is a warning for us. When the ant plague occurred, the heavenly spirit became anxious already. In the Grotto Heaven's history, there were several disasters too, for example, when immemorial desolate beasts attacked or when enormous fires burned, the heavenly spirit became uneasy. But we have never seen the heavenly spirit in such a wild mood, its voice even went hoarse from growling. The immortals in Fire Plane Grotto Heaven looked at the heavenly spirit with increasingly uneasiness as well. The heavenly spirit was becoming increasingly frenzied, its expression was fearful and it even slammed its head at the surrounding pillars. Unfortunately, the heavenly spirit was not a real rabbit, it would not faint from this no matter how hard it hit the pillar. Go investigate. We need to get a result, we need to know what the danger is. This danger is very severe, it might lead our Fire Plane Grotto Heaven into the brink of destruction. Quickly contact the Grotto Lord, only he can make the decisions in such a serious matter. Is the ant plague going to continue intensifying? Fire Plane Grotto Heaven's Gu immortals were very anxious, they quickly got to action. Oh no! Grotto Lord's Life Tablet Gu and Soul Lantern Gu have been destroyed. What? How is this possible? The immortals of Fire Plane Grotto Heaven became dazed. Next, they found a huge hole in the sky. Fang Yuan used Heaven Form Killer move without concealing himself, he came openly and grandly. If Fire Plane Grotto Lord was still alive, he might be able to use the entire Grotto Heaven to resist Fang Yuan for some time while waiting for reinforcements. But now, he was already dead. Fang Yuan, it's Fang Yuan. Seeing the person beyond the hole, many of Fire Plane Grotto Heaven's Gu immortals became anguished. Why did this demon come for us? Even more Gu immortals turned pale as they shuddered with fright. Grotto Lord is dead, this demon Fang Yuan might likely be the culprit. What are we going to do? Everyone, we've already requested for help from Righteous Qi Alliance, now is the time we stake our lives and fight for survival. This is our home, the place where we were born and grew up in, our friends and family all live here. We cannot run. We cannot let that demon devour our homeland like this. After their initial panic, the immortals gathered their spirits and united to resist Fang Yuan. It is a pity I cannot go inside now. Fang Yuan rubbed his chin as he thought, looking at the huge hole formed by Heaven Form, he could only stand outside. He had too many Dao marks, according to his calculations, this Fire Plane Grotto Heaven could not hold him either. As long as Fang Yuan went in, with the conflict of Dao marks, countless cracks would spread from this hole, the fire path Dao marks inside would be forced to squeeze to the surroundings. Seeing that the Gu immortals were resolved to fight, Fang Yuan smiled coldly as they flew into the sky and attacked Heaven Form, he opened his immortal aperture. At almost the next moment, a group of Gu immortals led by Fairy Miao Yin and Lady White Rabbit flew out of the sovereign immortal aperture, charging into Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. Gu immortals of both sides engaged in intense combat. At once, flames dongate as lightning flashed. Figures flew around in the sky, clashing and parting, shock waves could be felt at intervals, killer moves were unleashed like fireworks, many Gu immortals lost their lives amidst this beautiful show. Immortal killer move, wondrous hand profound sound. Fairy Miao Yin wore a pink dress, her two original arms were white like snow, the remaining 6 were translucent and pink, formed from her killer move. Profound sound spread out, attacking her surroundings in all directions. Once Fairy Miao Yin appeared, she created a huge battlefield that enveloped 3 rank 7 experts of Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. After several rounds, the 3 rank 7 Gu immortals got suppressed and fell into a disadvantage. Fairy Miao Yin disregarded immortal essence expenditure, there was a reason for her current desperate attitude. She was once captured by Shadow Sect, she had to work with them and provide clues about Fang Yuan for Fairy Zi Wei. There was a clear contrast between her and Lady White Rabbit. After returning to Fang Yuan, she knew she had to perform well to make up for her past mistakes. Fairy Miao Yin wanted to perform well, the other Gu immortals had similar thoughts. Bing Yuan led the Snowman Gu immortals, she sent a wave of frost energy that froze the enemies. Shi Zong directed the Rockman Gu immortals as they unleashed a large number of falling meteors together, causing huge losses to the enemies. Inkman Gu immortal Mo Tan Sang was a Qi path cultivator, he waved his hands as a large number of Qi gathered and moved, he attacked and caused a huge commotion, causing the enemy Gu immortals to fall out of formation. Comparatively, the Hairy Man Gu immortals were slightly weaker. After all, the hairy man Gu immortals mostly cultivated refinement path. But there were exceptions to this. Golden Fur Immortal Monarch was covered in golden thread-like fur as he held a hammer and charged forward. He had ferocious might, raising the morale of others as well. Strange Hair Grotto Lord was covered in black hair. He activated the incomplete Immortal Gu House Black Emperor building and rampaged all over the place, having already killed one Gu immortal from Fire Plain Grotto Heaven. Their Golden Hair Grotto Heaven and Strange Hair Grotto Heaven had been annexed by Fong Yuan, becoming a part of the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. As for Langya Sek's Hairy Man Gu Immortals, the best performance was from rank 6 Gu Immortal 12th Hair. He cultivated enslavement path secondarily and controlled multiple desolate beasts, creating quite a commotion. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2108, Slaughtering 100 Million People. 2108 Slaughtering 100 Million People. There were Mushroom Man Gu Immortals as well. Even though the Mushroom Man Blessed Land had not been annexed by Fong Yuan, most of these Mushroom Men had already relocated into his Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Ko Xian Hong was the strongest Gu Immortal among them. His poison path methods were extraordinary. It was not long before Fire Plain Grotto Heaven started to lose on all ends. Not only did they have fewer numbers compared to Fong Yuan's subordinates, even when rank 7s fought against each other, Fong Yuan's subordinates were still stronger. As Fong Yuan's subordinates attacked, they killed several more Gu Immortals of Fire Plain Grotto Heaven. In the end, the remaining Gu Immortals lost their morale. They wanted to surrender, but Fong Yuan ordered for them to be killed regardless. Next, they cleaned up the battlefield. Fire Plain Grotto Heaven cultivated fire path primarily. Most of the immortal materials were also fire path. Even though some were lost due to the ant plague, because the Grotto Heaven's Gu Immortals did their best to preserve the materials, there was still a large quantity of valuable resources. For example, there were 28 charcoal lakes, distributed all over Fire Plain Grotto Heaven. Every charcoal lake's location was meticulously calculated. There were huge advantages in placing them there. Fong Yuan had once constructed his own charcoal lake, but it was inferior to any single charcoal lake of Fire Plain Grotto Heaven. These charcoal lakes were self-producing, especially at the depths of the lakes. A large amount of immortal material fire charcoal was produced. Other than charcoal lakes, Fire Plain Grotto Heaven also had a huge forest. Fire Date Forest. Fong Yuan even found several ancient desolate plant giant disaster blazing trees. This type of tree was covered in raging flames. Nothing could get close to it. More impressively, this giant disaster blazing tree would cause bad luck to whatever life forms got close to it. This was an immortal material that contained fire path and luck path. The two heavens Grotto Heavens of Fong Yuan's subordinates contained a certain quantity of luck path immortal materials at minimum. Fire Plain Grotto Heaven was no exception. It had luck path materials too. Other than these, Fong Yuan also gained a large amount of flames. The largest quantity was date flame. This flame was vermilion red in color. It was condensed into a lump and the fire was very well hidden within. Even though it was an immortal material, even a mortal could hold it with their hands without getting burned to ashes. Other than date flame, there was also Phoenix Song Flame, Black Lantern Blind Fire, Elephant Tusk Flame, Firefly Flame, Flying Flame, Dragon Snake Dancing Flame, and others. What disappointed Fong Yuan slightly was that even though there were many types of flames, there were none of the rank 9 unique flames of heaven, earth, and human. The so-called 3 flames of heaven, earth, and human were the heaven flame bright light glorious ring fire, earth flame azure divine stone furnace fire, and human flame raging wave rising dragon fire. After collating the immortal materials, he looked at the immortal Gu. There were very few immortal Gu gained. He only obtained 3. One was a fire path immortal Gu that was heavily injured. It was a Gu worm that was let out. Bing Yuan was very fortunate to have obtained it. The other 2 were ant-immortal Gu. One was golden in color and large like a mountain. It resembled red copper. The other was small as a thumb. Its body was extremely long, like a soft white noodle. The red copper immortal ant could spit out fireballs while the white noodle immortal ant could produce large numbers of ants. These were all the products of the lingering poisonous ant plague killer move. When ants devoured the goo materials within Fire Plane Grotto Heaven, they would continue to refine themselves. Those that were mortal goo could be elevated into immortal goo. But Fang Yuan could not guess or estimate what immortal goo would be produced. From these two ants, he could still barely see their origin. The red copper fire ant should have been an arrow ant, its mouth could shoot out sharp spikes. After shooting 3 spikes, it would be weak, it would not be able to fight even a worker ant. The white noodle immortal ant should be a queen ant. It was huge and had no offensive or offensive methods, but it could rapidly produce worker ants, soldier ants, armor ants, arrow ants, and others. Army ants were just vicious insects in essence, but they could raise their strength, from being an ordinary beast, to beast king, to desolate beast, to ancient desolate beast and finally, to immemorial desolate beast level. This just was like the dark web spider in the river of time, which was an immemorial desolate beast, or the tiger-striped honeybee in U003CU003C, the Legends of Renzu 003 EU003E, that was also an immemorial desolate beast. But after Wu Shuai's modifications, these ants that the lingering poisonous ant plague produced had undergone a qualitative change, they all became goo worms. Even though goo worms also ate food, they were the hosts of Dao mark fragments. The value of a mortal ant goo far exceeded an ordinary ant or insect. These ant goo were all tough and strong, they had intense vitality and fighting spirit. 100 ant goo could easily slaughter 100 ants of the same rank. Most goo worms had fragile bodies that could be easily crushed, but some also had tough exoskeletons and strong vitality. For example, the chainsaw golden centipede that Fang Yuan used in the past. The chainsaw golden centipede had 2 main advancement routes. One was the rank 4 chainsaw killer centipede, the other was the flying vitra centipede, having rank 3, 4, and 5 versions. When goo masters used these 2 goo worms, the former could slaughter strong enemies while the latter could pierce bones and flesh, drilling into the enemy's body. Even at immortal goo level, such goo worms existed. Like the sword-legged dragon centipede goo. Rank 7 sword-legged dragon centipede goo was 7 li long, it had a centipede body and dragon head. Its countless limbs contained sword path Dao marks, allowing it to carry tens of thousands of swords with it. Once it coiled around its prey, these sharp swords would attack from all directions, creating bloody holes in the ancient desolate beast. It was very fierce. Wu Shuai elevated the essence of his army ants from insect to goo, they gained a huge amount of potential for growth. But this method had huge flaws. The first flaw was the immense expenditure. Originally, ants could breed themselves with just some resources expended. But to create ant goo, goo materials would be expended for the refinement. Other than that, ant goo also needed to be fed. The price of feeding ant goo was many times higher than raising normal ants. The second flaw was regarding the level of rank 6 and above. Because immortal goo were unique, even though there could be countless desolate level ants of the same variety, there could only be one immortal goo of each breed. If there were just a few ant immortal goo, then overall, the earlier army ants with desolate beasts would be easier to form and have greater overall strength as well. However, if I use this method to cultivate them, the new army ants will also be able to expand greatly in numbers. Fang Yuan observed the red copper fire ant and white noodle queen ant as he thought. These 2 ants were immortal goo, but Fang Yuan could not recreate them, he did not know their immortal goo recipes. These ant goo had successfully ascended after devouring the goo materials and immortal materials in Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. The ant plague was extremely huge, involving almost the entire Grotto Heaven, but only 2 ant immortal goo were produced in the end. The killer move lingering poisonous ant plague contained refinement path profundity, it stood at the apex of the current world's hairy man nature goo refinement technique. Nature goo refinement technique used the natural Dao marks of the outside world to refine goo and greatly raise the success rate. The moment Fang Yuan created lingering poisonous ant plague, his attainment in the nature goo refinement technique already surpassed long hair ancestor in every aspect. These ants could refine and ascend themselves, it was not just due to the goo materials of the outside world, most importantly, Fang Yuan was expending his own unrestrained heavenly marks. Long-hair ancestor did not have any unrestrained heavenly marks after all. Using lingering poisonous ant plague, I can nurture a large number of ant-immortal goo. As long as I have a large number of ant goo, if I expend a lot of resources, I will have a continuous stream of ant-immortal goo produced. Even though immortal goo are unique, after obtaining red copper fire ant, I can still produce ant goo like red copper water ant or yellow gold fire ant. With just a slight difference, the immortal goo would still be considered unique. Fang Yuan made his deduction. He realized that the key obstacle to this was not the uniqueness of immortal goo but the resources needed. Using this method to nurture ant-immortal goo had too high of an expenditure. Refining the two rank 6 immortal goo, red copper fire ant and white noodle queen ant, took so much in resources from Fire Plain Grotto Heaven, it was sufficient to refine more than 10 rank 7 immortal goo normally. The efficiency of using the resources was too low. Other than immortal materials and immortal goo, there were also some goo cultivation inheritances gained from taking down Fire Plain Grotto Heaven. The most valuable one was Fire Plain True Inheritance. Even though Fang Yuan did not get it from Fire Plain Grotto Lord, there was the original copy in Fire Plain Grotto Heaven. Fire Plain True Inheritance was a high-quality Fire Path True Inheritance. It had a profound method called Furious Red Heart Flames. Fire Plain Grotto Lord had used it before his death to threaten Fang Yuan to let him off. It was used in his suicide. There was also the killer move Humanly Flame Smoke. This was a Fire Path killer move with human path effects. For Fang Yuan, it was quite valuable. Lord, what do we do with these people? A subordinate Gu immortal asked. Fire Plain Grotto Heaven was a human grotto heaven. There were over 100 million purebred humans here. If they were all moved into the sovereign immortal aperture, the burden would be immense. Fang Yuan thought about it and gave his orders plainly: kill them all to construct human sea. Thus, the variant human Gu immortals took action and engaged in a merciless slaughter. 100 million humans were all slaughtered. Their bones, flesh, intestines, and soul were collected and classified into different groups of Gu materials. They were transported into the sovereign immortal aperture's inventory. Their human chi was completely taken by human sea. This incomplete artificial secluded domain of heaven and earth was obtained from Xia clan by Fang Yuan. In order to become venerable, Fang Yuan would need to get past the heavenly Dao blockade. These human path methods needed elevation to deal with it. After cleaning up the battlefield, Fang Yuan annexed the immortal apertures of all these Gu immortals, before finally targeting Fire Plain Grotto Heaven. He moved most of the resources in the Grotto Heaven into Mini Red Heaven. Because of his constant annexing recently, the sovereign immortal aperture had undergone a huge change. Its development was currently at 80%. The sovereign immortal aperture's Gu material inventory was completely full. More than 10 more inventories were made in succession. Be they the Mini 9 heavens or the Mini 5 regions, they all had many resource points in them, at least hundreds or thousands of them. After careful and meticulous deduction, Fang Yuan finally allocated all these resources to the most appropriate locations. Mini Red Heaven is almost full as well. The sovereign immortal aperture feels packed now. Fang Yuan sighed in his heart. He felt that he was like a hungry fatty recently. He ate too much in a short period. He could not digest it well. Normally, Gu immortals cultivated one path. Their immortal aperture's environment was quite simple and easy to manage. Most Gu immortals did not have a huge immortal aperture. Only space path Gu immortals had the largest immortal apertures. Fang Yuan, however, was different. He cultivated all paths. The environment of his immortal aperture was very complex. Almost all sorts of resources could be grown inside. At the same time, his sovereign immortal aperture was also the largest and most unprecedented aperture. Even a venerable's grotto heaven might not be this big. Thus, there were many things that he had to consider during this development. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2109, Wu Shuai's Life in Danger. 2109 Wu Shuai's Life in Danger. Fire path resources could not be placed too closely with water path resources, otherwise, they would affect each other's growth. not only would production shrink, they might even be destroyed. But isolating all fire path and water path resources was also not a good idea. Because fire path resource points also affected each other, they were not completely harmonious. There were also a lot of immortal materials which had two types of Dao marks, like giant disaster blazing trees fire path and luck path. A lot of Gu cultivation resources had Dao marks of two paths or more. Some resource points that produced immortal materials needed a lot of ordinary Gu materials in the vicinity for production to occur. Some resources needed specific wind or water to grow as well. There were also resources that needed an opposite environment. For example, frost ice flame was a fire path immortal material produced in an area of dense ice and snow path Dao marks. Thus, Fang Yuan had prepared for this, long ago, when annexing immortal apertures, he had specially split them up into portions and placed them scattered over the sovereign immortal aperture. All in all, Fang Yuan was mimicking the characteristics of the 5 regions and 9 heavens. For example, Mini southern border had many mountains, Fang Yuan chose to put earth path resources there most of the time. Or for example, Mini red heaven was fire-based, so Fang Yuan placed his fire path resources there. Fang Yuan could now feel the intricacy of the distribution of the 5 regions and 9 heavens. Using this design, most resources could be classified and arranged, it could greatly lower the need for him to make deductions, he could control the influence of these resource points on each other more easily. But it was not enough. Each time Fang Yuan annexed a grotto heaven, he would gain Dao marks of a certain path. With an increase of Dao marks, there would be some influence for the following period of time on the entire sovereign immortal aperture. Earlier, when he annexed Qi Xiang Grotto Heaven, the sovereign immortal aperture gained a huge boost of Qi path Dao marks, currents started to appear all over the immortal aperture. There was the largest quantity of heaven and earth Qi, allowing the sovereign immortal aperture to have no need to open its entrance and absorb external heaven and earth Qi for some time. After that, there were profound Yin Qi, luck Qi, blood Qi, astral Qi, domination Qi, life Qi, death Qi, righteous Qi, orchid vitality Qi, elderly Qi, and other immortal materials. Dao marks affected the entire sovereign immortal aperture, allowing it to produce resources gradually from a blank state. It started with mortal Gu materials, after Dao marks accumulated, a qualitative change would occur, becoming immortal level Gu materials. These resources were naturally formed as a result of Dao marks. The sovereign immortal aperture was gradually filled up like this, it reached 80% development now. Other than resources, an increase in Dao marks would also affect the production of existing resources. After annexing Fire Plane Grotto Heaven and gaining a bunch of Fire Path Dao marks, the entire temperature of the immortal aperture would rise gradually, many Water Path or Wood Path resource points would suffer as a result. If he gained Metal Path Dao marks, a large amount of ores would appear in the soil, the fertility of the soil would change, affecting the growth of the vegetation above. If he gained Water Path Dao marks, there would be more rain, over time, floods might occur. If he gained Poison Path Dao marks, some plagues or diseases might erupt instead of being seasonal, they might spread widely and rapidly. If he gained Transformation Path Dao marks, many lifeforms might mutate when they grow, some might have different forms or natures, causing problems to their original groups. Thus, during this period of time, the sovereign immortal aperture had not been peaceful. Many strange things occurred at random times occasionally. Like earlier, many eastern sea had eerie winds appearing out of nowhere. Profound eerie winds swept the area, causing small islands to form on the surface of the sea. But the area in which these profound eerie winds blew did not need islands, the earth path Dao marks would obstruct the sea waves, while the soul path Dao marks would kill the weak life forms and create soul beasts, changing the natural habitat. Fang Yuan initially suspected the 2 neighboring sea areas, they were right at the core of the profound eerie winds, they were very plausibly the source of them. But after some tests and deductions, Fang Yuan found that the reason was 2 far away sea areas, their Dao marks influenced each other, like the repulsion of magnetic waves, causing profound eerie winds to be created between them. As for situations like wild beast mutation that caused problems to beast groups, the spread of plagues and diseases, the increase of ores that destroyed the homes of rock men, the burning of forests for no apparent reason, the fall of ice shards from the sky and others, they happened continuously. All of the defending Gu immortals were extremely busy, they went around taking action and salvaging the situation. Fang Yuan's main body also took action frequently, setting up immortal formations at the important resource points, like he was patching up torn clothes. The boost of Dao marks carry uncertainty, only time can digest and assimilate such issues. I need to let the sovereign immortal aperture develop and naturally acclimatize to these situations. Originally, the sovereign immortal aperture had a huge space and sparse resources, it was hard for them to affect each other. But now, after reaching 80%, there are too many resources that are closely packed together, their influence on each other is also not between two resources, but a large group of resources in the vicinity, they affect each other in a chain-like manner. And worse is that I used time difference Grotto Heaven's method to construct your essence pools and created different time path regions. Because the areas have varying time flow, my deductions are even more complicated. When I bring in more immortal materials in the future, the deduction difficulty will rise by 100 times. It is beyond my capabilities. Such deduction difficulties were simply too high, Fang Yuan was helpless about it. Furthermore, even if I can deduce the results, I will still need to modify the location of the respective resources. Each time I relocate them, it would be like a huge surgery, expending a lot of my resources, time, and energy. I am afraid that 80% is my current limit. After understanding this, Fang Yuan felt admiration when he looked at the 5 regions and 2 heavens. The 5 regions and 2 heavens had far larger space than the sovereign immortal aperture, but all of their resources were appropriately located, they influenced each other in a harmonious way. Even when the 5 regional walls vanished, when the earth veins merged, even after the heaven veins merged, these resource points were still unchanged, they were barely affected. I see, this is heaven path. Fang Yuan's body and mind shook intensely, at this moment, he could sense the law of balancing of heaven path deeply. If my heaven path attainment level can rise to master level, I will be able to resolve this predicament and make a breakthrough, I can continue to develop the sovereign immortal aperture even further. What a pity, what a pity. In history, nobody had ever cultivated heaven path, even though limitless demon venerable created unrestrained heavenly mark, he was still a rule path cultivator. As for paradise earth immortal venerable, he cultivated earth path. Fang Yuan might be the Gu cultivator who had the deepest venture into heaven path. Fang Yuan activated cooking luck pot, inspecting his own luck. He saw that above the silver white pillar of light, there were still 3 clouds that were continuing to get larger. But the silver-white light pillar that represented Fang Yuan forcefully grew to around 4 times the original size. It was originally thin and slim, but now it was slightly thicker. This was caused by the annexation of Fire Plane Grotto Heaven. Because Fire Plane Grotto Lord and Fire Plane Grotto Heaven had their respective luck, after Fang Yuan killed and devoured the Grotto Heavens, he also expended some of his own luck. After some time, Fang Yuan's luck would recover and grow even thicker. In terms of the growth of luck, Fang Yuan was naturally the winner among them. It seems that my tactic is correct, my development far surpasses the 3 venerables during this period. But Fang Yuan pondered. He acutely sensed that even though the silver-white light pillar expanded to 4 times of the original, it was no longer as condensed as before, it was quite loose now, the light was also no longer as clear as before. The reason why my silver-white light pillar grew this much is because I annexed many grotto heavens, my foundation rose sharply. Other than that, I also created and modified many compound killer moves, my time path clone also made many rank 8 immortal Gu. But these things only reached a quantitative change, without qualitative change, it is still too loose. For example, the sovereign immortal aperture is still very unstable, the resources are not assimilated into the environment yet, I've only used some methods to forcefully place them here. If I am careless, a disaster will occur, I will suffer huge losses and my luck will fall. And even though I have many rank 8 immortal Gu and compound killer moves, I still do not have a proper combat system that perfectly uses them, I cannot link them together. Thus, the silver-white light pillar is loose. Fang Yuan could feel the amazing aspect of luck path once again. Through luck inspection, not only could he understand his current circumstances, he could also inspect his own flaws and weaknesses. With this, he even had the direction that he was going to pursue next. Fang Yuan took a look at the luck of his clones as well. Qi Si ancestor, Zhanbu Du, Meng Qiuzhen, and the rest had increased luck. His connection with Fang Di Chang was also becoming clearer. But Wu Shuai's dragon luck was not in good shape, it was actually near the brink of collapsing. What is going on? Don't tell me that after creating lingering poisonous ant plague, it actually led to a bad result. Fang Yuan soon ruled out this guess, he was quite confused internally. Among his clones, Wu Shuai was the safest in terms of circumstances. Qi Si ancestor's true identity was a hidden threat. Meng Qiuzhen faced danger when exploring dream realms. Zhanbu Du had already been sent away by Fang Yuan to lurk elsewhere. Li Xiaobai was a mortal Gu master, he did not have much control over his situation. The Time Path clone made use of 4-element square regret blood refinement pool to refine a large number of rank 8 immortal Gu, yet he only had rank 6 cultivation level. If any accident occurs, he would die from backlash. Even though Wu Shuai was also trying to get stronger himself, his main responsibility was to manage the variant human alliance. How could he be in danger? And this was a fatal danger that could cost him his life. Central Continent. In an underground cave somewhere, an elderly Gu immortal with a reddened nose laughed loudly. I finally got here, I did not waste my effort for the last 10 or so days without sleep. There was a rank 8 Gu immortal true inheritance in front of him. The will that had been slumbering for a long time was awake. He looked at the elderly Gu immortal. If you want to obtain the true inheritance of myself and my wife, you need to agree to one condition. What condition? The elderly Gu immortal squinted and asked. The Gu immortal will sighed. In my later years, I took in a traitorous disciple named Wu Shuai. He actually enslaved both me and my wife. If you want to obtain this true inheritance, you will need to shoulder the responsibility of taking revenge. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2110, Golden Bottle Drunken Wine. 2110 Golden Bottle Drunken Wine. The elderly Gu immortal's eyelids twitched, he had a certain guess. He asked, so you are senior green antiseptic, your wife must be senior wine fairy. The Gu immortal will nodded, indeed. The old Gu immortal let out a breath of air. To speak truthfully, this junior is a Gu immortal of Eastern Sea, Zui Xianwang, over 1,000,000 years have passed since your death. The Gu immortal was slightly stunned before sighing. Such a long time has passed. Back then, to prevent that traitorous disciple from finding us, we specially hid our inheritance in an extremely concealed area. To think that it ended up like this, that traitorous disciple must have died already. After pausing for a while, the Gu immortal thought of something and said, wait, Zui Xianwang, put away your defensive method, let me test the truth of your words. How can I know if you are not one of my traitorous disciples' subordinates that came here to trick me? Zui Xianwang hesitated for a moment but did not attack immediately. He was not confident in dealing with the arrangements here. He spoke the truth. I do not know if Wu Shuai is dead or not, but the situation is like this. Zui Xianwang quickly explained everything. Green antiseptics became stunned again. What in the world had happened? Was this still Heavenly Court? Fate Gu was actually destroyed. Gu Yu Fang Yuan. It was hard to imagine the existence of such a great demon in the world, truly a misfortune for the common people. Green antiseptics only accepted the facts after a long time. To think that the world became like this after 1,000,000 years. Fate Gu was destroyed, even Duke Long lost and died. Whether that Wu Shuai actually revived or if he is just Fang Yuan's clone is no longer important, since that Fang Yuan inherited Dragon Palace, he will also inherit this grudge. Green antiseptics said firmly. So Zui Xianwang, are you willing to oppose Fang Yuan for this true inheritance? Green Ants asked. Zui Xianwang was silent for a long time before taking in a deep breath, gritting his teeth. I am willing to do that. Alright, we will make the agreement. According to the instructions of Green Ant's will, Zui Xianweng made his vow. Accept this inheritance. The two of us put all our effort into it. We created a killer move called Golden Bottle Drunken Wine. Golden Bottle contains green ants, drunken wine dilutes dragon chi. Army Ant was created by me. I hid the one weakness of these ants extremely deeply, that traitorous disciple had no idea all along. As long as you use this Golden Bottle Drunken Wine killer move, you will be able to send the army ants into chaos and cause a backlash on the user. Most importantly, this is a food path killer move, it is hard to guard against. So Senior has prepared for it. Zui Xianweng's eyes shined with bright light. I cannot stay in this place for long, Senior, please go into my immortal aperture, you can inform me of the remaining information later. Okay. Green ants will flew into Zui Xianweng's immortal aperture, the latter took all the inheritance away and left. Zui Xianweng only took a glimpse of the inheritance details before feeling great joy internally. This inheritance contained Green Ant Ascetic's enslavement path inheritance as well as Wine Fairy's food path true inheritance. The value of the enslavement path true inheritance was not high for Zui Xianweng, but the Wine Fairy true inheritance was simply too valuable to him. It was not a waste of my effort to come here, it was worth it. A smile appeared on Zui Xianweng's face. But the moment he left the place and arrived in the outside world, his expression immediately changed. A battlefield killer move had been set up, it activated at once and trapped Zui Xianweng. Heavenly Court. Qin Ding Ling. Zui Xianweng was shocked to find out that Heavenly Court's Gu immortals were surrounding him. The leader was a female immortal, she had a tall nose, thin lips and eyes, a body covered in golden armor, her legs were long and smooth, she wore a white cape on her back, she radiated an elegant and noble aura, she had an air of indomitability. She was the current leader of Heavenly Court, rank 8 luck path great expert, Qin Ding Ling. Zui Xianweng's heart sank to rock bottom, he broke out in cold sweat, it seems that I will lose my life in this fight. Thoughts flashed rapidly in his mind, Zui Xianweng gritted his teeth and cupped his fists, I am willing to contribute all my inheritances, I will make contributions to the righteous path. Qin Ding Ling smiled brightly, emanating with heroic aura, Green Ant Ascetics and Wine Fairy's inheritances are good, but is our Heavenly Court so greedy? We are the righteous leaders of over 3 million years, the #1 super force in the world. Since you had the fortune to find this inheritance, then it belongs to you. Please do us the honor, sit down and have a cup of tea. Saying so, Qin Ding Ling sat cross-legged in the air, she took out cushions, a table, and cups. Zui Xianweng sat down without a choice, Qin Ding Ling personally poured tea for him. Tea fragrance spread out, but Zui Xianweng felt his heart turning cold as ice, his entire body was shivering, his cold sweat could not stop pouring. What status did Qin Ding Ling have? She was actually treating an Eastern Sea lone immortal like Zui Xianweng in such a respectful manner. She certainly had huge motivations behind this. Feel free to drink it. Qin Ding Ling stretched out her arm, smiling as she pointed. Zui Xianweng had no choice but to take a sip, he immediately placed the cup down, he asked while faking calmness, I wonder what Lady Qin wants to say to me. The smile on Qin Ding Ling's lips became even wider. She spoke casually, haven't you already guessed my intention? Zui Xianweng, you are a smart person. No need to be so pessimistic, in the current world, even though demons have the upper hand, it is only temporary. Even throughout the history of millions of years, the righteous path has been dominant for most of the time, while the demonic path can only hide at some corners. We are currently in a special era, so some geniuses will wreak havoc, don't think that they are domineering and overpowering, they are merely the pioneers that will pave a road for the venerables ahead. Zui Xianweng lowered his head, not daring to make eye contact with Qin Ding Ling. His arms were placed on the table as he clenched them uncontrollably, his palms were covered in sweat. In this tough situation, no matter what overbearing request Qin Ding Ling states, I have no choice but to agree to it. Zui Xianweng sighed in his head with great sadness. But Qin Ding Ling took out some evidence immediately after, not long after, star constellation Immortal Venerable will revive and return to Heavenly Court, she will lead the rise of Heavenly Court once again. Zui Xianwang saw the evidence and became deeply shocked. Star Constellation Immortal Venerables Revival. Qin Dingling smiled. Fate Gu has been destroyed, even venerables can be resurrected now. Demon Immortal Qi Ju is the best example now, but he has already been suppressed by my heavenly court. If even Demon Immortal Qi Ju can revive, how can our venerables not do so? Our heavenly court has 3 venerables, throughout the world, which superforce can rival us? Zui Xianwang stared in a dumbfounded manner. Thoughts started to collide rapidly in his mind. He had already decided to say yes, but after seeing proof of Star Constellation Immortal Venerables Revival, the balance in his heart was tilted towards Heavenly Court. Even though Fang Yuan was strong as the number 1 demon, he only had pseudo-venerable battle strength. He could not compare to a venerable. In the millions of years of human history, there had only been 10 venerables, each one had shown their invincibility in their respective eras. Venerables were invincible. No matter how many pseudo-venerables there were, they could not match a venerable in the end. While Heavenly Court had the most number of venerables, Primordial Origin, Star Constellation, Genesis Lotus. Other than that, the only other super force that had a venerable was Longevity Heaven. Zui Xianwang's expression became calm gradually. I am willing to work for Heavenly Court. He said in a solemn tone, let's set the agreement. Qin Dingling shook her hands, no need for that. With that Fang Yuan's ability, he will notice if we make an agreement. Furthermore, you need to return to Eastern Sea and join the Righteous Qi Alliance. We will not set an agreement. Zui Xianwang was stunned. Qin Dingling added, write me a copy of the true inheritance, Heavenly Court will try to provide you the relevant immortal Gu. Zui Xianwang was stunned again, he sighed in his heart, no agreement and they are also giving me immortal Gu. Qin Dingling waved her hand again, you can leave now. This subordinate takes his leave. Zui Xianwang left the battlefield with completely stunned emotions. It was truly unbelievable. He was freed just like that. What Zui Xianwang felt was deep admiration. He started to admire Heavenly Court from the depths of his heart. This is the caliber of the number 1 force in the world. Qin Dingling is not afraid that I will not follow the agreement. With this attitude, she clearly doesn't think much of the inheritance, I am merely just one of her casual pawns. If I do not follow the agreement in the future, unlike Fang Yuan, can't Heavenly Court easily deal with me? Zui Xianwang was filled with a chilly feeling internally. While watching him leave, Fang Zheng could not help but ask, Lady Qin Dingling, we're letting him go like this? What if he goes to join Fang Yuan and betrays us? Wouldn't we be giving this inheritance to Fang Yuan as well? Are we going to give up this method to counter Wu Shuai? Fang Zheng was very familiar with the content of the inheritance. It turned out that Heavenly Court had found this inheritance long ago, but before taking it, Qin Dingling had some intuition. Her instincts told her to not take the inheritance, it would be better to make her move 3 days later. Qin Dingling followed her instincts and waited for 3 days, finally trapping Zui Xianwang. At this point, she realized the meaning behind her intuition. Qin Dingling smiled, Fang Yuan possesses the sovereign immortal aperture and has annexed many grotto heavens, he even has Paradise Earth's inheritor and the variant human alliance under him, we cannot estimate the speed of his growth at all. If we set an agreement with Zui Xianwang, it will leave a huge piece of evidence behind. However, when Zui Xianwang drank the tea, I had already used my method to influence his luck. This will cause him to become enemies with Fang Yuan without doubt. Fang Zheng was not convinced, he held on to his beliefs, even so, I feel that we should gain a complete hold of this inheritance and use it as a trump card against Fang Yuan. This Zui Xianwang is just a lone cultivator of Eastern Sea. Qin Dingling chuckled, you are underestimating Zui Xianwang while also overestimating the value of this inheritance. Zui Xianwang is a person who can endure hardship, he is a wise man who knows his circumstances, he possesses one of the 3 pools in the world, wine pool, he is a food path expert. The inheritance of his lineage has always been passed down very stably, while his luck is also very deep and sturdy. Food path is powerful, while Zui Xianwang cultivates food path solely, he can almost be considered a representative figure of this path. This has significant meaning. As for this inheritance, Qin Dingling shook her head, in my opinion, the most valuable thing is not the killer move golden bottle drunken wine, but that human path wine drinker immortal Gu recipe. This inheritance that green ant ascetic and wine fairy created together contained a human path immortal Gu recipe. Wine drinker Gu. Similar to hero Gu, scholar Gu, craftsman Gu, and farmer Gu, except that it was not at the mortal level, it was an immortal Gu. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.